County Business Council, and I want to thank you for joining Talkback, Business Talkback. This will be a weekly event, and when things settle down and go back to some form of normalcy, we will be going to monthly and then eventually maybe quarterly. Maybe we'll stick with monthly. But basically, we want to have a one-stop shop, a place and a place in time where some business owners, not-for-profit owners, and leaders know, as well as elected officials, that there's one place that they can go to for a source of information. Putnam County is a small county, but getting the information back and forth always seems to be the biggest struggle. This came out of a little ad hoc committee that we have that is made up of Putnam County Economic Chair, Legislator William Gold, Legislator Amy Sage is also on the Economic Committee, Kathleen Abels of the EDC, Bill Nulk of the IDA, Tracy Walsh of Tourism, and myself. We meet regularly to try to get all the information together, and we kind of figured this would be a good thing to do during this crisis, so that you don't have to spend all that time trying to sift through all the information. This week is really gathering. It's gathering information. And I think we've done a pretty good job, and we're going to try to get all that to you today. And all of the links and all the information will be available on our website, and actually are already right now. And I'll send you that link directly to that page that has all that information about the federal loans, the federal money, and SBA. Good news, the phase 3 of the federal funding has passed. The House has passed the bill, and the president actually has in the White House right now that bill that he said he will sign. So there will be a lot more information about phase 3, although we have included some of it. So let's get started. First, I want to show, if I can do it, everybody on the line. This is basically the agenda that we will be following, and this will be sort of the format for links that we're going to provide on our website. Information, live, up-to-minute info brought to you by all these different groups. So I'm going to start with this morning. They were supposed to be on the line today, Senator Gillibrand and Congressman Maloney. I did spend about an hour on the phone with each of their district coordinators, and they have promised to be available immediately. I have their cell phone numbers, but right now, today, they're really working on the protective equipment that our healthcare workers need, and I know that on a county and state level, that's what everybody is focused on as well. And the economic piece is coming together and will slowly be rolling out. But unfortunately, we're still in that gathering phase, and implementation has been a little difficult, and that's why we're here. So I'm going to show you these links that I have that you will be able to see later. Of course, nope, not that one. I'll pull it up in a minute, but I have in its entirety 2 very comprehensive PDF guides that do phase 1 and 2 of the federal funding, but also a little bit to phase 3. They are both brand new. One, Gillibrand, came out yesterday, and Congressman Maloney's came out today. So both those complete packages, PDFs, will be available to all. And I also did speak with our federal representatives about phase 4 of the funding. 2 groups that we are concerned about that have not been mentioned. Number 1, which is a huge impact for Putnam County, is commercial landlords. Could you imagine what's going to happen when these businesses that can't afford to pay rent, which we all know, we've all spoken to many people that are really struggling, and what the long-term consequence, never mind the short-term consequences, to blighting our main streets and all of that other stuff. I did speak with our county executive, and they are all over trying to figure out what, if any, hopefully we can get out of this infrastructure-wise, so that we could actually be improving. as a result of this. And I like to think of this as, you know, what the Jersey Shore looked like before the hurricane, what the Jersey Shore looked like after. There can be a silver lining, and it's good to know that the county is focused on that. And I'm sure our legislators can fill us in more on that. And so that's about it. I'm now going to see, I need to look, I have our state representatives. I believe Senator Harcum is on the line. Oh, there he is. I'm going to unmute you. And I'm going to try to find your slides. But welcome.
Hi, how are you? How's everybody?
Everybody's great. They're all on mute, so it's just you and me.
All righty.
But you guys can raise your hand if you have a question. We're trying to just really leave questions to the end, and then we can get the questions. But if you are one of the leaders that was invited to be on the panel, then please raise your hand and get your question in. If not, I'm asking you to type your question into the chat box. And I have a promise from every elected official I've spoken to that we will get answers immediately. You, of course, can also call, like Senator Harcum. How many calls are you getting?
We're getting a lot of calls, a lot from small business.
We're trying to have it be where this is where you can come, and then we can go and get those answers to lighten the load for our elected.
Oh, well, thank you, but we're happy to help as well.
Yep.
Thanks. Yeah, it's this is really whacking our business community. It's whacking our workforce, whacking our business community, and we've gotten a lot of calls about that. You spoke a little bit about the federal money. You know, before this, we just had the standard SBA small business loans, and now with the new package, there'll be some forgivable loans. There'll be some grant money for small businesses. So waiting specifically for the rules to be rolled out about that. On the state level, I have legislation to create a state zero interest loan fund up to $50,000 for small businesses or for nonprofits. We hope to take a virus package up either during the budget, which we'll take up next week, or shortly thereafter. But I did want to mention that we are open for business, even though our physical offices are closed. All of our phones are being forwarded to individual team members 24/7. That number is 914-241-4600. Again, 914-241-4600. We're in touch with the governor's office daily. We're in touch with the county executives in all three of my counties, trying to see how we can be supportive. We're in touch with the hospitals. You know, most importantly, this is a time for people to stay safe, keep their families safe. You know, that's got to be the overriding concern. But then we need to pick up the pieces and get our economy back in gear.
Agreed. Not sure if you've had any other further update. The SBA site I know was down. I think they put up a second site, and I have SCORE here with us. I'm going to unmute you, George, in case you have some info on that, and Kathleen Abels. But and then I know we're going to have attached to our presentation all what we got as the latest and greatest for SBA. I have the actual documents, so there's a workaround in case the site is crashing. Any other things, you guys, that you want to add to that? Just looking for.
This is George.
Hi,
George Joyner. I just sent out an email to my constituency, and I believe you were included in it, Jen. It was just the acknowledgement of, yes, there is a workaround site that the SBA put up. It's kind of an emergency site to deal with the situation that occurs when you have 3 million people trying to access a system designed for 300 or 3,000 people. It just doesn't fit. So hopefully we can get the information out there, and I hope that, you know, between the two sites there'll be enough bandwidth to take care of the people, at least on a reasonably timely basis. You're not going to get through the second you hit send, but it's not going to be, hopefully it's not going to be an extended period of time, and that's, I think, a great help for people.
Yeah, the same thing with the Department of Labor. I know a lot of people are getting very antsy because they're
Yeah.
not able to get through. And I think a lot of that should shake itself out. Would you agree, Senator? And
Yeah,
Kathleen,
they've
I had,
processed 80,000 claims already. So
okay.
they brought more bodies in, both to the phone line. They're working on the bandwidth issue, but people can always call the DOL. There's a hotline as well, an 888 number that folks can call. And part of the stimulus package was an additional 600
Sandy Galiff's office. How you doing, Kevin? I have you on unmuted with Senator Harkam.
Hey,
And
Kevin.
I got to give a big shout out because Brianna, Kevin's wife, is a healthcare worker. She is extremely pregnant and she has been showing up and doing what she has to do. And I just had a granddaughter right at the cusp of this. And I'm so grateful that I was able to be in the delivering room. So what you guys are about to go through is no easy feat. So thank you both.
Yeah, no, thanks, Jen. I appreciate it. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yep.
All right.
They can't, but I can. I mean, they can. Shake your heads, everyone, if you can hear.
Good.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I just kind of called in, so I'm not sure how much I missed already, or what the senator covered, but certainly it's been a very rapidly evolving situation. Things change, not just every day, but in some cases, 3 or 4 times a day. And I just, every time I speak with folks, I encourage them to go to certain reliable websites that are either from the state government, county government, or from the federal government. That is by far and away the most reliable place to go for information, because if you're relying on regular traditional media outlets, odds are the information is probably changed by the time they've printed and disseminated it. So again, the senator may have mentioned it, but the health.ny.gov coronavirus website, the CDC website. We actually even have on our New York State Assembly.gov website, nyassembly.gov/coronavirus, that even shares about some information about the legislation that we passed previously, whether it's paid leave, and then some other issues we're talking about. But specifically, I know a lot of our small businesses are primarily concerned or interested in the Small Business Administration and the loans that are available. I have to think this may have been brought up earlier. If you haven't gone to that website to see if you're eligible, I would encourage you to do that. And certainly as the federal government passes its package, that's going to change things, including other benefits like unemployment insurance. I think I heard the senator talk about that a little bit too. Anyone that's been applying for unemployment, they know that our Department of Labor has been very overwhelmed and are trying to make do and make some changes and adjustments. Was there anything specific you had that you wanted to ask me that I could try to help shed some light on?
I think I might have asked you earlier, but I would be not doing the right thing if I didn't ask, what do we think the fallout for the self-employed and independent contractor benefit will be? I heard $600 a week for 13 weeks. You guys have any information on that?
I don't know what the specific dollar figure will be. When I spoke with the labor commissioner, the Department of Labor commissioner, we actually brought that up, and it's largely subject to what the federal government does. I believe they need some permission from basically the officials, whether it's in Congress or even the White House, to allow us to do some of these things. And I think the president does have the authority to expand benefits in cases like a disaster. So we really have to wait to see what comes out of that. I sent it to you, Jen, too, for folks that really are interested in what's in the U.S. emergency spending bill. There's been several bills at this point, but the National Conference of State Legislators have a decent document that breaks down the spending in the bill by category. It may not answer your specific question, but if you're like, hey, $2 trillion, where the heck is this money all going?
Yeah.
I would
That's literally the phone call. How do I get a part of this $2 trillion?
Yeah, yeah. So where's it going? How much of it's going to the Kennedy Center? So there's obviously, no matter how hard we try, politics gets in the way of this. But I'd rather just let people, decide for themselves and see where the money is going. A large portion of it is going to help businesses as well. But it's www.ncsl.org.
Don't worry about writing this down, you guys. Every single link you will get at the end of this. Every
Okay,
single
good.
link, every single document. So if you're speaking about a link or a document that you haven't sent me, make sure I get it, because you're going to have one spot where you're going to get everything.
Yeah, so Jen will share that. That's a good resource for those that are interested. And a couple things that sometimes it gets overlooked, but obviously this virus that is attacking our most vulnerable populations, including our seniors, there's something else that they're vulnerable to and sadly susceptible to, and that's fraud and scams. And not unlike any other crisis that we've seen, there are bad actors across the country and the world that are trying to exploit our seniors. And for those that do have information to report complaints, you can submit a complaint directly to the New York State Attorney General's office, just James. That website, I'm sure Jen will share, but it's ag.ny.gov/coronavirus. And then on the federal level, because some of these, and our federal and state law enforcement do communicate and share information on things like this. But if you have a call that's from out of state and you just want to talk to the folks at the Department of Justice, there's a way it's justice.gov/disaster fraud hotline, and an email for people to submit complaints. Certainly there's been a lot of bad actors that are selling products that are just fake, that they're selling as PPE. It's not selling tickets, they're fake. Some are selling things and then the orders don't arrive. And then of course there's the tradition people make. So, be cognizant of that. I know that's not necessarily always a business thing, but for our family and friends, I would encourage people to check that out.
Thank you. I just want to see if anybody is on, Senator Serino's office. Jackie, if you're on, can you unmute yourself? And also Sandy Galiff, because you're not registered, so I don't see your name.
I would just add one thing to what
yeah,
Kevin said. You had asked about independent contractors. We need to see how the rules are written, but apparently some of the loan money will be available for independent contractors. We don't know what the qualifying levels will be. We've got to see the rules, but independent contractors will be eligible for some of these loans and grants.
Great. I look forward to hearing about that. I know a lot of my agents will be relieved, although it's getting, we can at least do some business. I know some people that can't do any, so I'm grateful.
Hey, Jen, I meant to say one other thing, because the Senator just kind of jolted my memory, and I apologize if it was brought up earlier. But for those who are interested in, what counts as an essential or non-essential business, the ESD website was updated again earlier today. So it does give some more clarification on various categories. There were instances where I was getting a lot of complaints from folks. Why wasn't, for example, EMS specifically included when fire protection and police services were? It was just an oversight. They were kind of interpreting it as under emergency management and response. But I would say, please check out the ESD website if you have not already.
Okay, great. I believe we have Senator Sue Serino's office on the line. Jackie, are you there?
Hi, everyone. Yes, I'm here.
So have you heard?
I'm taking down some notes.
Okay.
Yeah, I missed Senator Harcum. I heard he was on the line, but I missed him because I was on another phone conference, but I came on when Kevin was speaking.
Okay, so basically we've covered kind of everything that's out there, and I've explained that this week really is more of a gathering of information. So everybody that our Congress, on a federal level, our congressman and our senator have sent us a bunch of information. So Jackie, if you have anything to add to that, just email it over to, by the way, everybody, if you can email whatever information whenever you're getting it to info@putnamcountybusinesscouncil.com, info@putnamcountybusinesscouncil.com, because we will get that up as soon as possible so that we can continue to have a one-stop shop for businesses, not-for-profits, etc. Anything else you want to add, Jackie?
I did hear someone ask about the unemployment wages and what they'll be getting. I did reach out to our liaison while you were speaking, and I'm hoping he'll get me an answer what the maximum allowance is for self-employed freelancers and the whatnot compared to,
I did
an
speak
employer.
I think I'm not supposed to be saying the things, so I'm not going to say who said it, but I did speak to some people on the federal level, and they seem to think the number was $600 a week for 13 weeks. I don't know why I'm remembering
Yeah,
that.
that's very possible because, an employee is getting 504.
Right.
So I don't know what a self-employed or a freelancer would be getting, but I can try and get that number for you and verify it.
Yeah, that would be great. Okay, so I'm going to move on. Questions, again, just put them into the chat box here unless you have something really urgent before these guys mute themselves or hop off the call. And you're welcome to hop off when you need. This will be available in its entirety, and we hope that you use it as a tool as well. And it'll have all the links and all of that information and all the packages and attachments. Okay, so I'm gonna mute you, Jackie, because you can't. And I'm going to, so on the county level, if Amy Sage and Bill Goldman, can you guys unmute yourselves? I know Bill is really the representative right now for economic development, but since you're on the line, Amy, you should unmute yourself as well. Do you guys know how? I see Amy trying to, but okay, I'll unmute.
There we go.
All right. Welcome, guys. Thank you. We have legislators Amy Siege and William Goldman here.
Hi, guys. First of all, I'd like to thank Jennifer for putting this together. You've done a great job, and it's a good resource for individuals and businesses to get together through something like this in order to assimilate information. Now, there's been what was that?
I was just going to say I did it just so I can see Sal Gambino sitting in his living room.
Now, there's been good working relationships with between the towns, the county, the state, the federal government, also the business council, and it's a good thing. News is breaking at a pace like we've never experienced before. As I hear things, I pass them on to Jennifer and to Bill Nook. And moving forward, I will continue to pass on information that I get, so the residents and the business community will have what they need and will be a stronger community moving forward than we were before.
You just brought up a really good point that I want to say to everybody. Right now, Google is not your friend. You Google information, and the problem is that it's coming out and being updated so fast that you could get a link that's a day old and the information is completely not true. I'll give you a very quick example. Chris Marr is an attorney. He was looking up the new notary remote law. He Googled it, comes up with an article that looks official, that was 2 days old, saying that the law hadn't been passed. And you go right to the right correct place and the information is live. And so that's why, and also the acronyms, the amount of acronyms that the government likes to use for these websites that you forget, where am I looking for information? So that's what we're trying to do. So anything you want to update us on the county or anything, Bill?
Everything I have, I've passed on to you, and I'm sure you pass it on to everyone else.
Yeah, I know you guys are in triage mode right now. I know we have a great deal of sick people and the numbers are going up, and I think it's important that you guys are focused on healthcare and also starting to work through the economic, but there's not much that you guys can do right now on the state level.
I know that the county executive is now working on getting a testing center from the state set up in Putnam County.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't had any test kits. We're trying to get that set up through the state in Putnam. Right now we have over 100 cases with about 53 in Carmel. So half of the load is here in Carmel. The numbers are going up enough where we should have a mobile site set up through the state here.
I just unmuted our state representatives if you have anything to add to that, because that's a pretty important.
Yeah, I've been in touch with the county executive and spoken with the governor's office about that. So we're pushing that.
Okay, great.
Yeah, Governor, I believe Senator Serino and Senator Harcum both followed up with a letter that County Executive Mary Ellen sent to the governors to insist that they put a center in. Now, right now, the good news is that Putnam County is not one of the top 10 rated infected counties out of the 62 counties. So that's good. That's good news. However, we're not that far behind Dutchess, which is one of the top 10. So
I think the fear in those numbers is the fact that we don't have a testing site here and people cannot readily get tested. So I think that number is pretty low. I think there's a lot more people that are going to test positive once we do get a site here. And
I agree.
I think you're right,
I
Amy.
agree.
People are going out of the county to get tested,
Correct.
and that data doesn't always find its way
Right.
back to the county health department.
Yeah.
That is
And
correct.
many people that are going
Senator
to
Harkins
do-
stated.
Connecticut.
Yeah. Well, I watched a really good video this morning that actually helped me a ton, and I might add that to this thing, although it's not an official. It's from a doctor from the, how do you pronounce that? Weill Cornell Hospital in Manhattan. And he broke it down just wonderfully. The politics, he didn't talk about politics, but I'm just saying the politics need to be put aside, like how this should have been handled, this, that. This is where we're at. You need to shelter in place as much as humanly possible. Yes, you can go out and go shopping. You need to wash your hands before you go in. You need to wash your hands before you go out. You need to, the rest of the craze is just not necessary. You really, unless you are in close human contact with somebody who's infected or you're touching the surface and touching your face, that's how you're going to get sick. So the hysterica, this is going to be our normal for a little bit of time. No one knows. I would imagine a minimum of 2 weeks since the governor closed schools for another 2 weeks. But the message to the businesses is if you can shift, you got to shift now. I'm so proud of everybody that's on Zoom because I know I feel like an idiot, for my first 3 meetings, but they get easier and easier. So with that, I want to bring the business community on. I think that's what we're up to next. Yeah, I have the EDC president. I think that's your title. Kathleen, I always mess it up. Kathleen Abels. I have the IDA president, Bill Nolk. I have John Krause from Tompkins Bank, and I have George Joyner and Sal Gambino from SCORE. So let me unmute you all. So give me a second. State guys, if you have anything to add. Oh no, you're muted. All right, Bill Nolk, you are unmuted. George Joyner, you are unmuted. Kathleen, go ahead. You guys can start talking as I unmute you, please.
Well, the one thing that I would want to bring up real quick, and they talked about it, but the folks, we need to get the word out that if you are laying people off, unfortunately, at this stage of the game, as difficult as it is, those people should, number one, have the information they need to go to the unemployment section, the Department of Labor, and sign up for unemployment because there is no waiting period at this point. So even though it's frustrating getting in there now, the sooner they get on the system, the sooner they'll start getting some kind of relief.
Yes, and then again, we have you're talking about the SBA, correct?
No, that's the unemployment
Oh, yeah, sorry.
department. Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's been a problem. I know. So they're basically making suggestions like call early in the morning and call last at night and things of that nature. But
Right.
hopefully they're going to come up with a better fix than that, to be honest with you.
Well, as Senator Hartman said, they're bringing people in, they're working on it. So
I'm unmuting Senator Harcum, and I'm just going to leave you guys unmuted.
as I said,
Jackie.
as the senator said, that they're bringing people in, they're working on the problem, and it'll clear itself out. But the people should work through the frustration at this stage of the game and get on the system as soon as they can.
I think Kevin's dog is barking. I'm muting him.
That's working at home.
Oh yeah, yeah. Okay, great. Everybody else that I announced, you are unmuted. George, Sal,
Okay.
Kathleen.
And just an observation, I'm with Putnam SCORE, and SCORE is one of the Business Resource Center members that the SBA refers people to. And what you folks are doing at the Business Council is a godsend. Jen, as you know, I've been sending out emails left and right, trying to keep people up to date, but to have a central resource is spectacular. What happens is very frequently, We get inquiries from people who read that we're a resource available to them, and the questions that they ask us were what we knew was yesterday's news, as you said, and 3 hours later, everything I just said to somebody is obsolete. So having a central website with the latest, greatest, and most current is spectacular. And from that standpoint, we can serve as traffic cops. We can also and do work with people who are trying to figure out how to position themselves, how to keep the business afloat, not just financially, but all the ancillary issues that they have, ranging from something like rent to inventory to when we come back, how do I get my customers back? How do I get prepared and things like that? In addition to questions like, gee, I got a receipt saying my application was accepted for a loan. When am I going to hear back? Wonderful question. I said, I'm going to be on a conference call today and maybe I can find the answer to that. And I wound up reading a New York Times article. It said about 3 weeks, but I have no idea whether that's valid or not. So I end by asking the question.
Okay, great.
Jen, I'd just like to bring up the other thing that I found out earlier today is, everybody's been hearing about the lack or the need for medical personal protective equipment for the first responders and the people working in the medical field. There's a lot of companies that have this kind of equipment that aren't your typical medical providers. Paint body shops and stuff like that might have it. There's companies that I have no idea, but the people that are in them know. And if they can make donations to this goods to the medical people right now so that they can take care of the immediate crisis, it can be given to the Putnam County Emergency Services Bureau. And we'll give the phone number there, but it's the 800-4000 or 808-4000 number. But they're accepting donations like that. If they're small and you want to just drop it off, you can drop it off at the lobby of the Emergency Services Building at the old Route 6 campus. And if you've got more stuff and enough that's worthwhile picking up, then they can arrange for that. You just give them a call and they'll make those arrangements. But obviously the goods are very much in need, and the central distribution from the people at the Emergency Services Bureau gets it out to the nursing homes and the places that need it immediately.
Right, great. Before I ask John Kraus to chime in, I just want to add, George and I discussed an idea, and I hope that we implement this. We're looking for people who go through the processes. So if you did the SBA process or some of the other funds that are out there, lots of other disaster relief out there, that maybe you would become a volunteer to help another business owner or person through that process, because SCORE is going to become overwhelmed.
It's interesting you mentioned that too. We do have 2 of our mentors who have actually submitted their small business applications. So they went through the filing and don't know whether it's accepted, but
I'm calling you guys on Monday because I have to I haven't done anything. You know, I've just been in this mode trying to gather information.
You're just sitting around doing nothing.
Oh yeah, I have worked harder since I shut down. It's over 2 weeks ago. We shut down our office to traffic before the mandatory was. So I've worked harder since that moment than I have ever home. I know we're going to get through this. So John Kraus, are you there?
Yes. Hello, Jennifer. Can you hear me?
I can. Can you hear me? No, we can hear you perfectly.
I can hear and see everybody. So nothing like good old pandemic to catch up with some old friends here.
Yeah.
But anyway, yes. Thanks for having me on board. And I just want to just a couple of quick pointers from the banking end and what we've been doing. We've been in damage control mode since day one for the past 2+ weeks. And what I mean by that is we had to readjust our entire banking operation. And right now, with the exception of a few skeletal branch staff, everybody is working from home. And you can imagine what a challenge that is for most of us, including this old guy here who doesn't even know how to use a computer. You know, we're relationship managers and frontline people and customer facing people. And, you know, that's what we do is we go out there, we provide business solutions from a financing standpoint. Now we find ourselves trying to come up with financing solutions from a preventative standpoint. And what I mean by that is, you know, working with our existing loan customers. So the first thing we had to do until we could try to get our arms around this whole situation, and I'm not even sure if that's even possible, remotely possible in the near term, but we had to come up with a program right away with the loan payment deferment, because we just recognized the fact that the first impact is that business need to preserve whatever cash reserves they have, and most of our customers are small businesses, a few medium-sized businesses, employees of 100 or less. And you know, they're the spine of our community, and you know, if they falter, then this is going to have a rippling effect throughout the entire economy. So we recognize that, and we mobilize our entire workforce here with relationship managers and reaching out to as many business customers as we can, direct phone calls, emails, email blasts to all of our customers, our borrowing customers, and the response has been tremendous. We have a number of customers who have immediately applied for the loan payment deferment program, which we immediately put in place. And not taking anything away from New York State, but we announced this before Governor Cuomo issued the executive order on the loan to payment program, and then they one-upped us in that ours was 60 days, and the governor went out with 90 days. So we said, okay, we'll go 90 days. So we're doing this for consumers, for home mortgages, and all our business loans, including, yes, Jennifer, commercial landlords. We recognize that we have a two-thirds of our loan portfolio is in commercial real estate. Some of these are owner-occupied businesses, and then some of them are investment properties where other businesses are their tenants. And we're already starting to receive a number of concerns that their tenants are not going to be able to make rent payments pretty soon. So what do they do on their mortgages? And certainly we're going to put them on a pause with their payments. And what I mean by pause on their payments is principal, interest, and even escrow payments.
Wow.
Just so we can figure this out. So the first thing we have to do is just buy some time. And then now what we're trying to do is to really understand, and it's coming out fast and furious and eye-popping speed, the number of SBA programs that are out there. And we're starting to, you know, get a good understanding. And we're most particularly interested with the new stimulus package that is about to be unleashed here. And I think that's the direction that Tompkins Mayapack Bank is going to be leaning towards and working with our customers. At the same time, we've been trying to come up with some of our own internal loan programs, but we didn't want to go quick out of the gate with that, because now we're seeing that there's similar type loan programs coming out. And I just heard from our senator that the New York State now is coming up with their own loan program. So we want to assess the availability of all the different types of programs, sort it out, and then try to figure out what's best for our customers. And then our loan officers and branch managers and business development officers, we're going to go out there one by one with our customers and begin to start figuring this out, how we can get them back and rolling.
Awesome. Good stuff. And I will tell you that we would not be able to do any of this. We're a fully volunteer organization without the funding from Tompkins Mayapack Bank. And this is a real quick moment to thank Lisa Caslin of Prosper Communications and Michael and Brian of Brim & Brown, who have helped a lot with this webinar. And Lisa has really been the one behind the scenes doing it all. So thank you to both those companies. Okay, so I want to move on to anything else. Kathleen, I didn't hear anything from you. Anything you want to add?
Yeah, I was waiting for you to summon me. As you correctly assessed, Jen, we too are in gathering and listening mode. As information that's reliable comes out, we're posting it to our website, which is putnamedc.org. We'll put a post on Facebook and then direct you back to our website. A few days ago, we put up information on the SBA disaster loan. We had a great tutorial and frequently asked questions and other help from Empire State Development. That's on there too. And then today I hope to put on some stuff about CARES, the Coronavirus Aid Relief Economic Security Act. But mostly, I just wanted to remind everyone to please support our local businesses. All of these packages are wonderful, but the small businesses are members of our community and they rely on us. They're part of our community, they're our friends, our neighbors, and we have to continue to support them. It's also a nice time to express some gratitude for the people that are keeping the world spinning, even though it seems to have screeched to a halt. Certainly our healthcare workers who are at extreme risk, but they keep showing up and doing their job. Our Bureau of Emergency Services, our own health department, the people that keep the supply chain connected. So even if we're shut in at home, we have food, supplies. And then people that maybe you don't think about a lot, like our postal service, the sanitation workers, the utility workers. The list is countless, but it's a great time to be thankful for what we do have.
Great. Thank you so much. And I just ask again that any of the information you guys are getting out, just also send to info@putnamcountybusinesscouncil.com. And sorry you see me doing some stuff behind the scenes, but some of the people that called in that are supposed to speak it just shows a phone number. So I'm trying to find you and unmute you. It's Sal Gambino. I know you're there, but I can't unmute you. You must have done something on your end. And my co-host, if you can see if you can unmute Sal Gambino. Oh, there he is. Sal. Where are you? Can you hear us? All right. What happened to him? So we're going to move on. The business, again, with all the business organizations that just spoke, we're really in a gathering stage. And next week, we're going to be speaking a lot, just to warn you, because we're going to be working into the implementation stage of how do we get people plugged into whatever, if it's going to be a private bank that's best for them, if it's going to be SBO, if it's going to be SBA, or if it's going to be some of the federal grants and loans. So okay, I'm unmuted now. I will be, I did ask for some chambers of commerce to check in. I know a few of them are dealing with it. I did hear from Patty Behan in Putnam Valley, who told me that, you know, that community has really just come together and are working hard to keep things going. The takeout has been sort of the heart of the community, and everybody just has joined together. Charlie Meltzer, I had unmuted, but now somebody hit mute all, and I got to find your number again. Hold on. I think this is you. It doesn't even have a phone number. It says Galaxy Note 10. Charlie, is that you?
Yep, I'm here, Jen.
All right, and then I also invited, let's see, Bill Nolk. My co-host, if you could unmute Bill Nolk, Nat Prentice, Rosa Galico, if she's on, and I know Patty's not on. So if you could unmute those guys, and Chambers of Commerce, how are you guys doing? Start with you,
Jen,
Charlie.
if you can hear me good, am I on? And I don't know if everybody else is on now. Are we good?
But you're okay, you can start talking. Charlie?
Yep, I'm here. Go ahead.
You can, yeah, we just want you to check in and let us know how are things going with your businesses in your local chamber.
So first thing is the chamber is doing everything it can on the back end of it, you know, without giving out too much giving out information to anybody that calls in. I had a phone call with Michael Celentano, or excuse me, a meeting with Michael Celentano this morning from more than 6 feet away, because I am as cautious as everybody else is hopefully being right now with this. And we're trying to...
Who's Michael Celentano? I don't know who it is,
I'm sorry, the CEO, the acting CEO of the chamber right now. He is actually the one that's there in the office every day, answering phone calls, putting out emails, making sure that the information that we can get goes out, and he does a great job of that. So I had mentioned to him that we were going to be on a call today as well, listening in. So I can tell you, locally, business is slow. People are nervous and scared. And like everyone has said, not that I don't want to waste everybody's time, but things are changing so quickly. Everybody is trying to figure out what to do and how to adapt and what they can and can't do. Many of us have been worried about that. And I know there was mention of the new rules that just came out about essential and non-essential. And a lot of that is tough to decipher as well. I know that's a big thing that a lot of business people are working on trying to figure out right now. I don't know what else, Jen, I can get into except that I believe we're going to get past this. We have some incredible people. I had some help earlier in the week from SCORE and everybody over there working on my SBA stuff. I haven't been able to finish it because of the website crashing, but it did give me the information that I needed to move forward with it. And now I think I even have to wait a little because of some of the new stuff that's coming out. But I would say right now at this point, businesses locally, like everybody would suspect, are scared, are worried about what's going on. And I had mentioned, Jen, to you and some other people early on, and to everybody over at Putnam County SCORE, that what we really need is, what do we have to have as business owners to be prepared to go after and file to get some of these assistance loans, whether they're going to be grants or not, but the loans that are going to help us keep moving and keep our employees there. Because as has been mentioned so many times, small businesses are what keep this town going and this county going, and quite frankly, the United States of America. And I know that I care for my workers like their family, like many of us do. And I'm concerned that I'm going to be able to keep everybody working and at the same time be safe, so nobody's going to get sick while we're working, and continue to go ahead and be able to make some money myself at the same time to take care of my family. So there is a lot going on right now, and this is helpful if we get the information, Jen, and the pieces for everything that we need, and we have it in this one spot and we can share it. I know I invited a couple other business owners on, some fellows that I know real well that I consider smart, savvy, and know what's going on. And when I speak with them on a daily basis and they tell me they're not sure, or they're printing paperwork off the SBA site and they're going to mail in applications for things because they can't get through and they're worried about what's going to happen. I'm thankful that the Putnam County Business Council is there right now and that we're getting this information gathered together. So thank you. Thank you to everybody on the call.
Well, this group will be working, the group I mentioned in the beginning, that our ad hoc committee plus SCORE, we're going to be working really hard next week to make sure by the time we do this call again, we're going to have a lot of answers, assuming that it comes through on the federal side. But the president's supposed to be signing now, and that will allow that process to start of like, okay, so how do we actually do this? So that's the goal for next week. You just happen to be a little ahead of the curve as usual, so good for you. All right.
I was lucky.
Yeah.
Jen, one more thing. I just want to say thank you. You know, everybody on here, this means a heck of a lot. And I'm going to speak quite frankly. When you're a regular, everyday business person, you get up and you know your trade or your job, and you don't know about all this other stuff. It is very comforting to have people on the line that'll help you. And I mentioned to this, that I spoke to the fellows at SCORE. It was a big deal for me to have some guidance and have some help there. So thank you all for that. And I'd like to applaud Mahopac National Bank for being ahead of that as well. I could see some banking in the future with them because of the stuff that they're doing now. So thank you.
I think John is muted, but he says thank you. Trust me.
No, I'm sure he's a good man. All right, I'll shut up now and let everybody else go and get the good stuff
on
out.
the other chambers. So Nat and Bill Noak, how are your chambers doing?
This is Nat here. I'm learning an awful lot. Thank you so much for passing things along. I'm filling in for Eliza Starbuck, who's the president of the Cold Spring Chamber. We're doing all we can to support each other and the businesses. We've got a good list of who's open and which hours and trying to support them. The only thing that I could ask of all of you would be, if you know of anybody that wants to come hiking and park on Route 9D, you tell them now's not the time to do that.
Yeah, I know that that's one thing that I don't know if the state representatives are still on the line. I think they are. If you can unmute Harcum and Byrne and Jackie. But that was one thing I know people were getting a little upset about, having the state park still open. Is that something that's going to change?
Right now, the parks are going to stay open with guidelines on social distancing.
Yeah. I hope people adhere. I mean, it's a really simple thing to keep it from spreading. You can go out, you can have your freedom. We go on a little adventure once a day safely. We take long walks outside, but we still do what we have to do, and we do it safely, and we do it once a day, one of us, and we get it done. So
Jen,
go ahead. Yeah, Kevin.
Jen, just one thing on the parks too, because I know it just we've heard a lot of we heard a lot of information about the issues over in Cold Spring on the western portion of the county. We have a lot of different parks across this great state of New York. I've spoken with the commissioner's office, the governor's office about this. I'm sure both senators and Assemblymember Galef has as well. They have put significant restrictions in the parks to encourage social distancing. We have signs that are now up. If they're not up in the park near you, they should be, at least the state parks. They've closed the playgrounds, they've closed the events, but the parks themselves are still open, which I think is actually very, very important for our physical and emotional health for those that can get out to at least walk around, jog a little bit, still observe social distancing. But, you know, the governor did the right thing, in my opinion, when he waived all the park fees. That's so folks that are home, that have been basically furloughed, that there is something they can do. It's hard to be cooped up in your house for extended periods of time. So I do think it's important that we keep our parks open, but that we do it so safely. And I know that we have to be a little creative to kind of shrink down some of the access points so we don't have large pockets of people. People don't play basketball and things like that. But the parks are definitely still open. And I wanted to just mention one other thing earlier. It was brought up. I didn't get to chime in. But with the testing site in Putnam County, I got the letter from the county executive as well. I know the county legislature has been pushing for a testing site. I know a lot of counties across the state want a mobile testing site. So it's not like Putnam County is the only county asking for this. So I would just ask folks to try to keep that in mind. I did speak with some of the governor's representatives yesterday, and I just put a plea in that Putnam County often gets overlooked as this tiny little county in between Westchester and Dutchess, but we really ought to be viewed as an extension of Westchester. We're living everything that Westchester was starting off at earlier, and we're a small county, but it's still spreading here. And even if it's not in Putnam County, Westchester County is definitely one of the biggest hotbeds in the country, and it is probably a strong argument to be made that a mobile testing site belongs in northern Westchester County. And if that were to happen, I like to think that would be something that would benefit Putnam residents. They may not want to drive down to New Rochelle, but then hypothetically, going to Yorktown may not be so hard. So that is something that some of us have at least tried to come up with some alternative ideas to push for, so we can get at least more test kits and more the ability to test more for the folks that are here in Putnam. So I just wanted to throw that out there too.
So Nat, I'm sorry, we got sidetracked, and we have about 6 minutes left, and I need to hear from tourism and also community and not-for-profit. So Nat, anything else you want to add on the Cold Spring?
No, I'm done.
Okay, Bill Noak, Kent?
We'll see you when we're through this.
Yes. Kent, you good? I mean, Bill Noak, you want to add anything? Oh, he probably needs to be unmuted. I'll unmute you. I like being able to mute people.
No, we're good. Again, just a shout out to our local delis and local restaurants that are delivering food and staying open at hours so that people can get the necessities they need without having to go full blown into the supermarkets. And our shout out to the supermarkets for doing what they can to make things available for senior citizens at special hours and doing the things that are right for keeping everybody supplied as best we can during this crazy time.
Absolutely. And don't forget your local, like Bucci's has turned basically into a grocery market. I can order anything and I can pick it up curbside. Also, there's a little deli in Carmel, in Mayapack called Laguna. I can get a lot of stuff there, and I can get it curbside, fresh produce, meat, things of that nature. So you don't always have to go into a supermarket. A lot of the small businesses have essentially become a place where you can pick up groceries. Okay, so my co-host, if you could unmute Tracy Walsh. And let's hear what, I got it. I got her. Oh, there you go.
Hi, everybody. I've been busy coordinating with Empire State Development and the New York State tourism industry.
Just say your title so that we know.
Oh, Director of Tourism. Hi, everybody. So right now, tourism is taking a pause, but the work is not. Some of the things that we've been hashing out with New York State and also Hudson Valley Tourism are coordinating lists of restaurants and small businesses that are open, pitching them to the regional magazines. Nat, as soon as I get off this call, I'm going to forward the list that the Chamber just sent me up to Hudson Valley Edible and Chronogram for you to have included. So we're really trying to, virtual tours now, staying in touch with all of our wonderful things that are going on. A piece of news that we're hoping for is that for the first time ever, it's not a fact yet, but that the I Love New York money, some of it may be able to be used in this circumstance to promote local county tourism attractions. Would be a big change, but it would help us immensely promoting what we've got within the county. So there'll be an update on that hopefully by next week.
Excellent.
Stay strong, everybody. Stay safe.
Thank you. All right, co-hosts. And I just, before co-hosts, if you could unmute Amy Sage, Judy Callahan, and Nancy Brunel, right? So am I saying the wrong name? Forgive me if I did. If you could unmute those guys for me. But before we go to them, there's so many businesses that are stepping up to the plate with unbelievable leadership and generosity. I just heard from someone in Kent about Limney and Mezzaluni feeding the kids and the elderly, and there are so many businesses that have stepped up and are providing meals for children and so on and so forth. So kudos to the Putnam County business community for taking a leadership role even when you are not quite certain of what is going to happen next. So thank you. Okay, so Amy, Judy, and it's Nancy, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't always do well with names on the spot. I'm good with names, but you get like, ah! Anyway, welcome ladies. And I asked you guys to represent basically the community and the not-for-profit organization. And real quick, someone had asked a question about the unemployment for not-for-profit. I did mention the 501c6s as one of the groups that I haven't seen mentioned, and maybe it'll be a part of phase 4. But otherwise, I don't have those answers, but I will get them for you. So ladies, welcome. How are you doing?
Maybe I'll just start.
Sure. Amy.
As you know, I have a not-for-profit Community Cares.
Introduce yourselves, because I don't think everybody can.
Yeah, I'm Amy Sage. I founded I'm president of a local not-for-profit called Putnam Community Cares. We provide meals for people going through cancer treatment or other major medical illness. And we started a partnership to open up our services with the Putnam County Business Council and the United Way of Westchester Putnam to open up our services to provide meals for senior citizens, first responders, healthcare workers, and other people who are medically vulnerable. This has been a great partnership with 211 and the Putnam County Business Council. Jen has been reaching out to all the businesses. Community Cares is providing a $10,000 grant to pay for these meals. So it's two-sided. One side is we're helping people who need the help and reaching out to them. Three-sided, actually. We have a whole host of volunteers who are willing to pick up the meals and drop it off. And we're supporting our local businesses in Putnam County on all sides of the county.
Yep.
I'll go really fast because I know this has been a long meeting. I also want to talk about, I was speaking with Faith Ann Butcher today at the United Way. We also talked about let me get the name of it in front of me. The Feeding Westchester, Hudson Valley, Food Bank of HudsonValley.org. They normally provide food pantry services for Westchester County. They're now opening this up to Putnam County. This just came about this morning. We're going to open up a site at the Donald B. Smith campus.
Great.
And it's going to serve our senior citizens. We have Ride Connect, who is going to be driving and picking up meals for the senior citizens and dropping off the groceries at their houses. We also have, it's open up to all citizens in Putnam County because, as we know, small businesses may not be signed up for services. They might need a little extra help. It's going to be some fresh fruits and vegetables, stable foods, rice, beans, canned vegetables. We're going to send out a press release This is something, again, with the United Way and the Hudson Valley Food Bank.
Great. Awesome.
And we're also working with Putnam County Social Services and the Putnam County Senior Resources to facilitate this as well.
Thank you. That's great. That's very
I'd also like to say, I'm just shouting out to not-for-profits really quick because they're really busy during this time. I also want to say that Patty Horvath from the Field Home Foundation reached out to Community Cares, and they are offering a $3,000 grant to Community Cares to provide meals for senior citizens. And I'm just so proud of our not-for-profit community. You know, many of us have given up our fundraising efforts for the springtime. It's a huge fundraising time for us. We've given up all our fundraising, but we're still doing our services and expanding our services to help the greater community because that's what we do. So a shout out to all our not-for-profits out there working hard behind the scenes.
excellent. Judy, are you on the call? Judy Callahan? All right, Nancy, you're there. So let's start with you. I'll see if I can. Oh, here's Judy.
Yes, I'm with the Community Foundation of the Hudson Valley, and the good news, and I don't think anybody will need to ask why, is there is going to be a COVID-19 response fund set up for nonprofits for Putnam County. I should have details on this next week, and I will share them with the Business Council. We have been in talks with the United Way of Westchester and Putnam and also with Amy, and our idea is we're going to be expanding on what they're doing. We're going to be working in a United Way with United Way, but we are going to have a fund set up for nonprofits. We're getting calls every day, just like business people. They are afraid of how they're going to pay their rent, their bills, whether they will have to lay people off, whether they will even be open at the end of this. And we are trying to mobilize donors who are also calling us, very upset and wanting to know what to do, how they can help. So we're going to try to connect them in this fund. I hope will go live next week. Excellent. And we're hoping that, you know, all our constituents and partners like you, the government, you know, the different nonprofits we work with will promote this so that the donors are out there that really want to help. They just don't really know where to go.
We will do everything we can. Just let us know how we can help. And I'm not sure who's talking.
That's Nancy.
It is Nancy.
Nancy.
Okay. All right.
I guess my camera's not working.
You know, I'll have this down pat by the end of the next time. There's a lot. It's pretty clunky, but I think once you do it, like it's probably my 5th Zoom thing, so I'll get there.
Thank you, Nancy.
Nancy, thank you. And
you're welcome.
We're also.
I'd also like to add something real quick, and you know, this applies to everybody on this call, but when you're speaking to potential donors out there, and Amy knows this well, a lot of nonprofits depend on maybe that one big event a year or a few little events a year. We have one planned for October 3rd. I'm looking at studies that are saying it's questionable whether October 3rd's happening. It's questionable whether 18 months from now events are happening. So when donors talk to us and they normally support certain nonprofits, we're suggesting write out a check for what you would have written for that ticket price anyway. Let's try to keep these nonprofits going. They were important enough to you to consider going to a gala. Let's keep up the good work.
Yeah, agreed.
And unfortunately, there are donors that are worried about the economy. So writing checks for some is a little scary right now, but hopefully the scare of now will calm down in the future. And that's the other part of what we're doing. We're doing this immediate response fund, but we're also planning for what's down the road, because we know that there's going to be help that's needed down the road. So we're really every single day on conference calls and meetings and trying to figure out the best thing we can do to keep the nonprofit community that's feeding people, giving the joy of art to people, healthcare, all these things. We need them all.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. And amazing county where we all come together. So I know that we'll get you lots of support. Just get us the information and we'll get it out there. You know, not everybody's in a position to write checks. So we got to lean a little heavier on people who are.
True.
Is Judy on the, I mean, she's here, but I can't hear her. And she's not muted.
She's unmuted.
Yeah, she's unmuted. I don't know why. I don't know why, but that's okay. Judy, send me any links or any pertinent information you need to get out there. I want to show you guys. This is. Oh, did I share it? Yes. So this is the page on the Business Council. You go to articles, and basically this will have the webinar speaker content links. There may be some other things to add here. But we're going to be doing this like federal, state, just like we did this call. All the links to all the pertinent whatever categories of people who are affected by this, or organizations and people. So that's really it. I really appreciate you all being here. We're going to try to keep it to 45 minutes in the future. So I do suggest, I'm just going to unmute all. I don't know how. If you want to unmute, oh, I can. Yeah. I'm unmuting all for just the end of this.
Jen, can you hear me now?
Oh, Judy,
Yes.
now I can hear you. All right, so let's listen to Judy real quick. So everybody be quiet. Don't let
Okay, just wanted to let everybody know, to thank them. I mean, we are seeing many more people than normal right now. We have been partnering with various different organizations, and matter of fact, Faith from the United Way called today about the food distribution next week. So we're waiting for, you know, details, times, and things like that. But that is the Food Bank of the Hudson Valley that feeds our food programs in Putnam. That's our one of our food banks. The other one is up in Latham. So we're going to be working to help with that distribution. It's getting tougher. It is getting tougher for people. As I said, we're seeing a huge influx. I mean, we've never seen so many new clients come in as we've seen in the past week and a half.
I had a feeling.
So, yeah, but we're holding it together. You know, a lot of our volunteers are seniors, so they are not coming in. A normal month for us is about 75 volunteers. We're down to about 6. So as you can imagine, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work, but we've changed our processes to make it safer and also to make it a little bit easier to get the food out and to move it quickly.
Wow.
So,
well, that's information I can definitely get out for you, and I haven't seen it and I haven't heard it, and that's not your fault. It's just not easy to get it out there. So please, again, everybody on this line, info@PutnamCountyBusinessCouncil.com. We will blast your information out in our e-newsletter. We will put it on our website, and we will get it on our social media. And we have really good open rates and lots of good energy and followers on our Facebook page. All right, so that concludes our meeting. Email info@PutnamCountyBusinessCouncil.com. If you can't find the place on the page, please email us everything that you need to get out there so that we can be doing that, but also that we can have it posted onto that page in one spot. Thank you, everybody. Be safe. And if you can volunteer, I highly suggest that you do. I'm very grateful to have a business partner who is completely entrenched and focused on what's happening with real estate as it unfolds, and I get to focus on this. The volunteering has helped me tremendously, or the focus. So whatever you can do, and I will talk to you guys soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thanks, Jennifer.
Jen.
Thank you.